hours consistently, but it did take me 12 hours to come up with what I think was a good CV. It's very difficult as well to write your own CV, and to have an objective eye overlook it is really critical. And yeah, so let me just go. I don't know if you can see me clearly, because I see we live streaming. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's better. I'm going to just give you a rundown on what a CV should look like from a professional point of view and what's on trend at the moment, because that's important. As Tracy said before, most of the CVs I get, and that is from people who are looking for positions or people who have sent me a CV to work on, are really very outdated, very lengthy, and are just very difficult to read from a content point of view. A CV today shouldn't be longer than 2 to 3 pages, and a lot of people just can't get their head around it, especially people who've had many years of working experience find it very difficult to suss out what is relevant and what isn't, what is important and what isn't. And you need to understand, and it's been said time and time again, that a recruiter or a business person who's looking for a candidate will only spend 30 seconds, if that, screening a CV. So there's no ways that they're going to waste their time. You might be the most perfect candidate for the job. You might have all the skills, the experience, the qualifications. But if your CV is just long-winded and boring, you might miss a great opportunity. So I will give you, I think, let me share an example of a CV now, and then we can go through it. Give me 1 second, please. Give me a second. Let's just find it. Sorry, just have to bear with me for a few seconds. Just don't want to get out of the Zoom chat. Okay. Let's just find it. Okay, CV document. Sorry, it's. I'm not so good at this, but we'll get there. Is it? Maybe I'll come back. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'm not sure. Can you?
You're not on screen share yet, Jenny.
Okay, let's go there. Sorry.
So it's the green arrow at the bottom.
I know. I'm just okay. No, I want to get to a full. Sorry about that. I'm just Tracy. All I can see at this stage is your name.
So we can see.
Here we go. Okay, great. Okay. There we go. Can people see it?
Yes, yes, Jenny.
Okay, great. So let me just go through it carefully with you. And as Tracy said in the beginning, please can you keep any questions till the end, because we might be covering some of the content during my talk. So at the top, you would put your full name. If you've got a middle name or your maiden name, all those things don't count anymore. So it would be your full name. This is just an example. It's not cut and dry. Dash your level. So if you've got a BA or if you've got a PhD or you've got none of that, it's fine. But the first thing needs to be your full name. But as I said, leave out nicknames. Those days are all gone. You need to be put your name as you are known as today, okay? Telephone number, don't put, no one's phones landlines anymore, so just stick to putting your cell number. Email address. Residence, I just want to go through that. Do not put your physical address. It's really not important. If you're good enough for a job and you're suitable, it doesn't really matter. If you know that the position's in Cape Town or wherever it might be, if you're willing to relocate, you can put that in brackets. And residence, you could put there, if you want to, you can put a suburb, or you can just put Johannesburg. I'm just focusing on Johannesburg at the moment. But to put your full address, it's also tantamount to, it's a confidence thing. It's a privacy issue is what I wanted to say. It doesn't matter whether you live in Soweto or Sandton. That's not important in getting your CV seen and shortlisted for an interview. Citizenships, you might have multiple citizenships, and it's important to put wherever you have got a citizen, where you are a citizen, it's important to include. Now, the most important thing in a CV is your profile. People can call it a value proposition, or it's a personal branding statement. And in this section, as I've said, it's to give the viewer or the recruiter an idea of who you are. So if you are a PA, you would say qualified PA with key strengths in the following areas. It's a paragraph that you really have to make yourself stand out and differentiate yourself to a fellow colleague who is applying for a position, or a competitor that is applying for a position. As Tracy said earlier, to say things like, well, I'm a team player and I can also work independently. If you're going to make those kind of comments, just bear in mind 50 other people may do a similar thing, and it's not going to differentiate yourself from anyone else. So you need to back up statements with actual examples of work you might have done, or attributes that you have. Everything needs to be qualified, just so that you will, as I said, be the differentiating factor between yourself and another person. If we can share some comments at the moment. Can someone give me an example of what they would consider is important to put in a profile? Is anyone there?
No one has commented, Jenny.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, that's okay. I just got a bit nervous and I thought I was talking into space for a minute. Okay, and then you might have skills that are appropriate for the job that you're applying for. This is a very important place to put those skills that you have. So for example, I'll go back to a PA role, for example. You might have experience on MS Excel and advanced experience, and it's a time to put in there you've worked on complex Excel spreadsheets for high profile executives. That's this kind of statement you can make in the profile. So anything that will make you stand out should be put in there. And include your key strengths as well. Achievements, this is very critical. And every person has achieved something in their job. You don't have to be, what's his name, Elon Musk, and developed these incredible designs of spaceships and things like that. In each and every job, you would have had an opportunity to have done something that's made a bit of a difference to the company you've either worked for or that you're currently working for. And it doesn't have to be something that's kind of out of this world or extraordinary. It's just something that you've done, that you've managed to either save the company money, either come up with an idea or a solution, solved a problem. Maybe you were working on a project and you managed to finish it earlier than it was supposed to have been. So you really have to dig deep, and that's my whole thing with the CV. It's not just rattling on of responsibilities and duties. It really has to make a difference to whoever's going to read it, because your goal is to get, hopefully, an interview out of your CV. It should not just be a laborious, boring list of, as I said, duties and responsibilities. Another thing, well, we'll get to what you should leave out in a minute. Okay, so those are achievements. If you've had any, this is more geared, the CV I've put on here is geared to a more junior type of person. It could be for a graduate, but you adjust it accordingly. So there's practical training, okay, part-time. So this should be where it says part-time work experience. I'm going to change this to career history, okay? And you would list your career history down there. Sorry, it should have been a more advanced picture of a CV, but I can always send everyone another sample. So for example, in 2000 to current, you're working at AutoJet, okay? And you are a project coordinator. So this is how you would, do your CV. You could, underneath here, I think it's important to say what AutoJet is, so that whoever's reading your CV will understand where you're coming from and what kind of company you worked for. So Tracy, or Laurie, you'll have to help me a bit here. So it's a global or worldwide organization that offers blah, blah, blah. So it's just so much easier straight away to see what the company you're working for does. And it just needs to be maybe a line long, and that's it. You could, depending on if it's a sort of a huge, big global corporate, you would put there they employ 10,000 people globally with a head office in London. Just a very brief background about the company is important. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. Okay, achievements. We'll get back to that. So your responsibilities, I would suggest putting them in bullet point format. It's just easier for whoever's reading your CV to see it. So, for example, you would put in things whereby there was an end goal, and you would also put in the result of your activities. So, for an example, Tracy, can you think offhand of something that you've created or coordinated or implemented?
As a responsibility, you could put implementing the training calendar.
Okay, so now that's fine. So implementing, have I spelled that incorrectly? Implementing the training calendar. Okay, we know it's for Outjet, so you don't have to repeat that. And how do you do that? What methods do you use to do that? You normally would say by.
So we look at current trends or future trends, and then we liaise with expert facilitators.
Okay. So that's okay. So, in other words, so you implement the training calendar based on calendar spelled incorrectly. Based on current trends in the marketplace.
So it would involve researching trends.
Yeah. But you don't. So you don't just implement it. I would rather say, firstly, you would research current trends in the marketplace and approach experts in the relevant fields, for example, to present workshops, webinars. Okay, but after that, you would then, or concurrently, we have to just see. So that's your first step is to research. Am I correct?
Yes.
Then thereafter, you would implement the training calendar on a quarterly, monthly basis. So you'd have to, sorry, fields is incorrect. So I'm trying to give some practical background to how you would do your CV. It's not just sort of, often people would say things like typing of something or filing of something. Unless you give those things substance, it's not going to mean very much. So I'm just throwing it out to you and using Tracy as an example. But for now, the implementing the training calendar on a quarterly basis, we would have to say, by doing what? How do you do it? I mean, you've already said you've researched.
So we research, we then...
but when you get to the implementing the training calendar,
so the implementing is looking for professional speakers to facilitate the training.
Yeah.
And then obviously rolling it out to
the
businesses.
So you would say that by rolling by rolling it out to potential
businesses
participants.
Jenni, I have a question though. In terms of your CV, how far back should you go in your career history?
We're getting there. We're going to get there. It's part of my discussion. So I just want to focus on the responsibility section. In fact, you don't even have to put responsibilities anymore. Okay. So instead of just saying implementing the training calendar on a quarterly basis, you need to back it up. How do you do it? By rolling, I mean, what is the purpose of a training calendar? Is to roll it out to potential participants. Does everyone, is there any questions on that kind of example that anyone wants to?
So sorry, Jenni, so you're saying you have to be very specific.
Well, you have to be specific, but you also have to give it substance. That's the whole thing. Instead of, for me to read, if I'm reading your CV and I see implementing the training calendar, I don't know what that's about. I don't understand that. So that's why you have to say previously you've done the research, whatever, because you're going to be running workshops and webinars. Thereafter, once you've got that information, you're then going to do the training calendars. And what is the reason to do the training calendars? It's to get potential participants to take part in those webinars. So, you know, it has to make sense why you are doing a particular task.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? Or any comments? Not at the moment.
No.
Just how many would you need to add there?
Well, you would need to add basically as many as you think is relevant for the particular position you're applying for. You keep your focus. You might have a generic CV, but then you also have to make sure that for each position that you're applying to, you have to adjust it slightly so that it talks to the recruiter, it talks to the post that you applying to. Something I was going to get to later, and I'll just mention it now. If you put your CV on LinkedIn, for example, or not, you wouldn't put your whole CV, but you would put information about yourself on LinkedIn, and you would apply. Often it would say, apply for a particular position, and you apply for that position. Most big corporates today use a system called ATS. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. Okay. ATS.
Yeah, I'm familiar with ATS. It's got specific search words and keywords that it searches for.
Yeah, is that Daron speaking? Sorry,
yeah,
I don't know. Okay.
It was,
so, yeah. Okay. So it stands for Automatic Tracking System. It's a software tool that will go through your CV and pick up things that are relevant, or not things, I should say, words or courses or degrees relevant to the position that the company is looking to recruit for. So if you just do sort of this bland CV with a whole lot of extraneous information, your CV is not going to get through the automatic tracking system and you will be discarded. So you have to really spend time both on your CV and for the position that you're applying to, and make sure that they talk to each other. So that is critical.
Jen, can I ask you something?
Sure.
So I've always worked in the corporate world and did accounts and that, but now I'm applying for a job as a foreign English teacher online.
Right.
So now I would have to not concentrate so much on the accounts, but more on if I had to training and things like that.
Correct. Absolutely. Emphasize. Look, you're not going to ignore what you did in the past, and I'll get to that. I will get to that. But you absolutely have to. It's called transferring of skills. Another thing I was going to get to. So if things that apply to the position that you're applying for, emphasize those. Absolutely. Milk that training experience that you've had. You've got a degree, a BA. I know I looked at your LinkedIn profile earlier just out of curiosity. So you need to work on that and work that you might have done, for example, if you've done any caring work or looked after the children or things like that. You need to emphasize that information for sure. So skills that you might have used in another job, you need to think of them very carefully, as Andrea's mentioned, and I'm pleased you brought it up, is how can you transfer those skills into another job? It's critical. So let's just so in terms of career history, and Tracy mentioned it, you would go back sorry, we jumped around a bit. How many responsibilities would you use as bullet points? I wouldn't use more than probably about 6 to 7 at the most. You should reduce it as you go back in time in your CV. And your CV shouldn't consist of more than, it shouldn't go back further than about 10 to 12 years. And I'll give you an example. Sorry, this is not such a great example that I'm using here, but I'll put it in anyway. So just for example, let's go back from 1990, if you can include the information, but you would put it in a different format. So for example, from 1997 to, okay, we shouldn't say, let me change this a bit. Hold on, 2010. And I know the dates aren't exact, but I just wanted to show you. So from 1997 to 2000, you worked at ABC, and your position there was project assistant. That's how you would put it. So you wouldn't go into as much detail as you would the more current sort of role. So that's how you would word it. So having said all that, you might have, and I've had this before with a candidate or client, she did something really, she did a wonderful task or had an achievement from quite a few years back. And she really didn't want to leave it out, and I can understand why. And that's fine. You can maybe, in this section here, your achievements, you're also going to use bullet points to separate information. So let's just put here. And you would put your achievement here and your next achievement here. And you could actually, even if it is way back, you could put it as an achievement instead of listing it in your career history. Yes.
Jenny, just a question. So in my particular case, for argument's sake, I've run my own company for 25 years.
Okay.
So I've got that single thing of 25 years, but over that 25 years, yes, I've had 40 to 50 large customers where I've done various projects.
Okay.
Do you just say, this is what I've done for all of those customers, and then if asked, put a project portfolio forward, if requested, but include no details with that project portfolio in your primary CV?
So I have done CVs for people who've run their own businesses. So what we would do, you would still have to, out of all those 40 projects, really think very, very hard which are the most important, which are going to give you the credibility, because you don't want to repeat similar projects. What you would do, I don't know if we're talking on the same wavelength at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving. So where you've done very similar projects, I would rather put there worked on several projects doing this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And not separating them. I would highlight in your years of experience the projects that really have stood out, and then make a summary of the rest of the projects.
So like a portfolio that can be, if they want to see it, you can submit it.
Yeah, you could do it that way, or you can include it in your CV or resume, as they call it in America. But it really needs to be whittled down. I don't know. You can either, because it depends, sometimes companies don't want to be named, clients, or, so you just have to weigh up that. Or you could put projects that you worked on that were valued at X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I've got a bit of all of that. The thing is, it used to be in my CV, but then my CV was 16 pages.
Oh my God!
So I've cut that all out.
That's
the question.
I mean, I would delete something like that. I would.
I
would delete. If a CV came across my desk of 16 pages, I would delete the CV. That's what I'm saying.
So would I.
Yeah. Okay, so I would make a little bit of a summary. You don't want to. How long is the portfolio then that you would add?
Oh, the portfolio I could probably whittle down to 3 or 4 pages based on what you've said.
Even less.
I could probably make it 1 page, a table of 1 page with project, customer, value, primary responsibility.
Yeah, you would definitely, because, you know, really, I think people are getting, because we're spending so much time on computers today, it's probably getting even less important, not less important, that's the wrong word to use, but time, I should say, is becoming more important, and people don't want to read less information. They want to read information that is really going to stand out and make an impact straight away.
Cool.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. 100%. I just want, okay, just I've changed this. Sorry, this isn't exactly the CV that I meant to pull up, but it's fine for the time being. I wouldn't put, so volunteer roles, if you're a student and you haven't got much information to add into your CV, you would add things like voluntary and specify it. Otherwise, if you do voluntary work, and fortunately there are a lot of people who do, you would add it actually in your profile section. You know, not in too much depth, but a lot of companies look for people who are not just going to work all day and do nothing else, but also people who contribute to various organizations from a physical point of view. So in your profile, you would add your volunteer roles, or you would say voluntary XYZ at such an organization. You would add it up in your profile section. Going down to your education and qualifications, as I said, this is a bit different to how I would normally do the CV, but you would put there for, let me put it in here as well. So you would say bachelor, it's the wrong format, it's the wrong font as well here. Just give me 1 second, sorry. I just want to, the font needs to be the same the whole way through. Just please bear that in mind. It's not 100% correct here, but so say you've done a bachelor, and it shouldn't be in bold. Okay, bachelor of, write out the full degree as well, please. You can put BCom in brackets. Okay, and university, again, don't put Wits, not everyone knows that, so you would put University of the Witwatersrand. You can put in brackets Wits. Okay, and just an important, and if you've recently graduated and you were a tutor, or you were, it's the golden something certificate, don't know if they still have it, where you've achieved a certain aggregate, you put
golden
that
key.
Golden key, thank you. Key award or whatever, you would put that in. However, if you're working and you've been out of varsity for sort of, I would say over 5 years, I wouldn't necessarily put that information in there. Okay, and you've got working experience and other achievements, I would put that in. Computer skills, okay, it would go without saying what they are. I will be sending out another example of a CV format. Now memberships would be pertaining to your, rather to a work scenario, or anything relevant to a work situation. It could be a member of, if you're an engineer, the Civil Engineering Society or something like that. And it has to be current. You know, it's no good that you were a member 10 years ago and you haven't paid your membership fees. It means absolutely nothing. And in fact, it's more detrimental to your CV than if you keep it on. Okay, so those kind of things you mustn't keep on. But let me just go, I just want to go out. I'm going out of this screen. How do I go out? Tracy, you need to help me here. How do I go out of the screen?
If you have another screen to share with us, you can just close that and bring up the next
I'm going to try and close that, and hopefully you don't disappear. Okay, great. Good. So I just want to go through. So that's more or less what the CV layout. Oh, it's 3:40 already. Let me just go through some other notes very quickly. Just to say that a CV is a valuable document. It does take time. It takes a lot of effort, and people sometimes think, should we use a professional CV writer or not? You really need to give that careful consideration, because a CV that's not great is not going to give you any chance of an opportunity. But at least by having a professional CV writer, you've got a 50% better chance of getting a CV read. And I just want to go through, we've said about the length of the CV. You need to very carefully make sure that the content is really talks to the recruiting person, that the font is the same all the way through. You need to look at your grammar. Previous roles, if you're currently working, you keep it obviously in the present tense. Previous roles need to be in the past tense. And that again needs to be in the same way right the way through, from your most recent role that you're not working in all the way back. Just sorry, and what I also need to mention is what's critical in your CV format is you need to have, for example, your achievements from the most current working backwards. Similarly with your career history, the most current going backwards, and again with your academic history. Just be careful what's important to keep in your CV and what isn't. A lot of people would have done, not a lot of people, but I've seen CVs, I should say, of people who've done hundreds of short courses, and they list them all, going from the most recent back 20 years. That is not important, okay? It's just lengthening your CV, and it's just not going to be that relevant. The fact that you did a 2-day course 20 years ago is really not going to make a difference to the recruiter. So please bear all that in mind. Another very critical thing is do not exaggerate or lie, because you're going to be found out one way or another. So you might not even realize, you might make a mistake with the date of the years that you've worked, and you might have made a mistake in that, and someone will pick you out on that, and already that's a blacklist against you, and it might have been completely unintentional. So please make sure that your dates are correct. Okay, so I'm also just going to get to quickly, because it's time's running out, what is not important on a CV. Date of birth or ID. 2 reasons why. It's confidential, it's a privacy issue, and we've got a major problem in South Africa of ageism. And if you don't put that information on, well, you're not required to anyway, but don't allow a recruiter to already knock you out because of that. I don't even encourage people to put dates of the years that they matriculated or they got their degree. It's not important. Why by putting a date is it going to affect your suitability for a job or not? So you might find it a bit of a waste of time and think, but why was I interviewed for this job if they think I'm too old or whatever? There might be that little bit of a chance that they see through those kind of things and look at you as a good candidate, okay, for the job. Things like marital status and children are completely irrelevant. Whether you've married, divorced, got 20 children or no children is really not relevant to the job. Again, people are looking at you from your suitability for the job, from your skills, your knowledge, your experience. Health, I mean, people say, well, I'm in good health. Again, it's not important unless it's going to affect the job you're applying for. If you have a disability, it is important to state that because it could affect the job that you're applying for. Criminal status, to say that you're not I can't imagine many people putting there, yes, we are a criminal or we do have a criminal record. Most companies today do criminal checks anyway, so don't put that on. Another thing is a photo. It takes up space. People can be very subjective. They might think that you are really ugly, so we're not going to consider you for a job. The only time I believe a photo is required is if you're applying for a modeling job, or maybe even a PR job, but otherwise it's completely irrelevant and not necessary. Do not cut and paste from a job description. If you're working or you had a previous job and you've got a very detailed job description, which just lists a lot of duties and responsibilities, recruiters are going to be able to see that that's all you've done and you haven't taken the time and trouble to work on a CV that really reflects you and your skills and how best you'll be suited for the job you're applying to. And just also, sorry, I keep on remembering things and it's very important, do not repeat tasks. So if you've done the same job, or I shouldn't say the same job, the same job, but in different companies, the last thing people want to see are repeats of everything you've done. There has to be some differences in the job that you're doing because every company has different needs, and one could put the job's responsibilities in the previous job and then right above that in your most recent job, similar responsibilities as below, but you have to add something that made a bit of a difference and an achievement about the more recent jobs that you've held. Okay, you might be working for a larger team of people. Your responsibilities may be for more than one branch of a business. So just think very carefully of all those things so that you can add them to your most recent position. So that's about repeating tasks. Lastly, I'm going to add, because we really need to move on, is if you, and that goes back to not telling the truth or being appropriate. If you have not completed a degree, please do not add in as if it is completed. You could write there, you're studying towards it, or you can put in brackets incomplete, but people are going to check up on your qualifications. So that's about it. I see we have got a couple of questions, and I also just quickly want to go onto LinkedIn profile. I don't know if, should I respond to the questions for the CV now or at the very end?
So, Jenny, we have 10 minutes left.
Okay, let me go on to LinkedIn quickly.
The group is suggesting that we respond at the end.
Okay, let me go on to LinkedIn and share the screen. I hope that you've all got LinkedIn profiles. Let me find, because can people see this?
Not yet. You haven't screen shared with us.
Okay, let's try again. Share screen. I found it just now. Why can't I find it now?
The bottom green button.
No, I know there's the green button. And then where do I find? Oh, here we go. Found it. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, disappeared. Let me find it again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I've actually just changed my picture. I wanted it a bit colorful to make things a bit brighter. So in terms of the LinkedIn profile, absolutely, if you're looking for a job, if you've got your own business, and you want to be out there and be seen, you have to have a LinkedIn profile. It's critical. I think one of the questions, and I'll get to something about social media, and that I'll get to that in a minute. So you can put your own background in there, and just to make it a little bit more stand outish, I would recommend that you do that. There's a little pen here where you would click and you would change photo, and your photo would be in your My Documents section in Word. On Microsoft, and you would change your photo there. Sometimes the photo could be too big and it won't fit in, so you just have to play around with that. Put up the photo that you have of yourself, look straight into the camera. There's nothing worse than looking sort of up into the sky, or I've seen people with sunglasses and funny hats, or wedding pictures or pictures of babies. Please keep it professional and put a professional photo on. It's the one place where you need a picture of yourself. And so there are different sections in LinkedIn. So here it says add professional section, and I'm going to go, wait, let me first start off here. Here's another pen, and that's where you would capture. Give me a second, I'm trying to go down with that's where you would capture your name and what you do. So you would either, if you don't have a business, you would obviously leave out you would put your name, Andrea, and the next word in last name, Stain. So it depends what you want to do, whether you want to add a business title, and I've included it all in my first name and put what I do in the last name. And then your headline, you need a headline that's critical. You need to be, so you can't, if you've got a business, or even if you're in a position and you want to market yourself for a new position, you need to tell your readers how you can help them. What way can you help them? So you could be a PA and you would say, I can't think of anything offhand because I'm pressurized with time, but just, you need to fill in all the blocks. So just be aware of that. You'd have to play around with it a bit before you include it. Your current title, your education. As you can see, I haven't got dates there. Country, okay, ignore that. So the industry, it comes up with industry, and you'll try and find something that closely associates the industry that you're either working in. Well, either way, whether you're looking for a job or you're selling it yourself as a business, what industries you're in. You can include your website, etc., all there. What is important, okay, so let's just go to add profile section. So the intro, if you're looking for a job, can you all see this? It says looking for a new job. And I can delete it afterwards. And it will come up as add job preferences. You're allowed 5 titles in this job title section. So, I don't know, let's just say secretary, executive, and you would click save it. Let's see. You would add to profile, it says at the bottom. You could add, as I said, up to 5 different variables in the section, okay? Where are you looking? City of Joburg. If you're looking for a job in London, you'll put there London. Okay, wherever you would be looking for a job. Start date. Yes. Did someone
I'll look at
ask
your
me?
CV.
Okay, choose who you're open to. So in this section, you can either share with all LinkedIn members, and there'll be this green circle, which actually appears on your photo, on your LinkedIn page, as open to opportunities. Or you could share with recruiters only. So if you don't want to publicize yourself, or you don't want a company that you're working for to necessarily know that you're looking, you would only put a dot in the share with recruiters only. If you don't mind who looks at your CV, it would come, everyone who's on LinkedIn would be able to look at your CV. Okay, so, and you would say add to profile. So we're going to go out of that now. Then I just want to go back. So the about section we've completed. Just want to go down. Skills, that's critical as well. So you can add into your skills. Let me go into here. So it says add skills. You can put up to about 35 skills that you have. Okay. Some of them are, okay, so these have come up. It's not necessarily what I've put in, because I'm certainly no fundi at applicant tracking systems, but you can add skills that are relevant to you and your business in this, and at the bottom it's got their add skills. Okay, I know I'm running through it very quickly, but you need to, if you're doing it by yourself, you need to really work on it and give it a lot of time and effort. What is a good thing to do on a LinkedIn profile, first of all, sorry, I'm jumping around, is connections. Okay. I don't say it's an answer to everything, but if you can build up your connection base, that's wonderful. You really need to, sorry, let me get out of here. Yes.
And I just asked you something. How safe is it? I mean, if you have all these people that you don't know.
Well, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Oh, from a look. Well, it's you don't have a choice today. I mean, I don't have any. You know, if you want to get out there and you want to your name and your profile out there, it's the only way to do it. And the other thing is you need to make sure that whatever you're putting on any social media platform is not going to harm you in any way. You can't, because you could be open to all kinds of things. So I'm pleased you brought that up, because it was one of the comments that I was going to bring up. Even on Facebook, you need to be very, very careful what you need to keep it private, and you need to be very careful about what you make comments on, because it could be detrimental. So I just want to quickly, okay, my network, okay, so you've got to so the invitations, fine. Let me just go back home out of there. I just want to, so because time's running out and I still have to get back to your questions. So just one other thing I'm going to share with you. To get known and to be more out there, I would recommend you commenting on posts or agreeing with, you can tick that you like posts on LinkedIn. You could put your own posts on. So that's all I've got to say about that. Let me, if you don't mind, I need to get back to the questions. Okay. Where am I going to, I'm trying to get out of here. Hold on a second. How do I click out of this? I want to close that down.
Jenny, you can just close it. You can close your
LinkedIn profile. Okay, there we go. Okay. Right. So I just want to to get to the questions. Is it under the chat session?
So yes, I'm happy to read them to you. So
okay, if you don't mind, yeah, please.
Sure. What are the benefits of a premium membership on LinkedIn?
If you've got the funds, it seems to be, I'm not a LinkedIn fundi, so let me say that up front. I can prepare and put a LinkedIn profile together. But in terms of the nitty gritty of whether to go premium or not, it's difficult. One would have to find out from people who are premium members whether they've got anything out of it. I think if you want to try, because everything costs money at the end of the day, I think the more connections you have, if you can't afford a premium contact, would probably be the route to go. I would guess that there is some positiveness in it, but I can't give you a clear-cut answer.
So Belinda has posted a comment, and she said that she had heard from a recruiter that it's not really worth having a premium account.
Okay, well, there you go.
It's worthwhile if you are a recruiter. I've had a premium account in the past. You can get a 1-month trial and just see if it helps you in any way. It's pretty good if you are recruiting, but not for any other reason other than recruiting.
Okay, thanks, Doron. Any other questions?
There was one relating to a CV. Do you need to put on a CV the specific amount of years that you've studied?
No. As I said, once you've got your degree, that's why I don't feel that putting a year or the year you started a degree or finished it. I mean, they use an example, and hopefully one goes to. I mean, if I go to a doctor, I suppose you can look on the certificates, but I've never done that before, and I've never asked a doctor how long it took him to get his degree, or an accountant, or anyone else. So I don't think that's important.
Another question, Jenny, is there anything specific you should do if you're particularly looking for an online job?
What in social media? What in? I'm not sure what.
Moshe, could you elaborate on your question, please?
Is Moshe still there? Is anything you should do? Yeah, it doesn't. I'm not quite sure what he means, because yeah, we'll have to move on. I'm not quite sure what he means by that.
Yeah, so I'm saying that if you want to get a job that you're working from home, like teaching English online or something like that, is there anything specific that I should change in my CV or my LinkedIn profile? Anything different to what you've recommended thus far?
No, I mean, you just would have to make sure, as I said earlier, that you've got skills that are applicable to an online job. So if you've never done anything online before, you're not going to get a job. So you'd have to highlight where you've done work online. I think today, whether you work at home or not is irrelevant. I mean, that's not important, but it's more important that your skills that you feel are appropriate for the online job, you've spelt out very clearly.
Okay, I understand. Can you also maybe answer my question about whether here in South Africa I should include my experience in the IDF? Is that maybe going to be detrimental?
Yeah, I wouldn't put that. I mean, I think it's wonderful that you've done that, and kula kavod to you, but yeah, I don't think it's important.
Thanks.
Jenny, you also mentioned the STAR method in the CV section.
Yes, okay.
What does that mean?
So when you're writing up an achievement, it's a way to get your mind to think around how you can write that achievement. So STAR, it's been going on for years, that acronym, and it basically stands for situation. So you would describe a situation, you would say what the task was, the activity that you did. I think I was talking to you when I was talking, Tracy, earlier about your calendar and everything. So So, but if it's really something that stands out, so it would be your describe a situation, the task and activity, and what the result was. And that's how you can work out whether something was an achievement. The result. So you were tasked to do something, and the achievement was you saved the company 200 million rand, or you created. I know someone who was in change management. They re-looked at the business and saw how to restructure certain roles or whatever. And by doing that, they managed to continue with the business, for example. So that's what STAR stands for: situation, task, action, and result. And that can help you work through an achievement. I hope do you get that?
I'm sure. Thank you, Jenni.
Great.
So I think what we'd like to do now, because you gave us such a really in-depth overview of the CV, and coming into this, always thought